The Atlanta Hawks are getting the month of December started off on the right track with the win versus the New Orleans Pelicans last night, 124-112. We are excited because the Atlanta Hawks are starting to get healthy at the right time. It seems as if the injury bug is starting to wear off, and again, at the right moments, because advancing into the next round of the NBA Cup tournament, that is going to definitely benefit the Hawks. And then, of course, having guys put back into the rotation and then trying to stay out of the play-in tournament at the end of the season going into the playoffs. Of course, the Atlanta Hawks have a lot on their plate, but we are excited because, listen, it's been 4 games straight that the Atlanta Hawks have done this, man, and we are excited. What's up, everybody? My name is Walter Pollard. Welcome to Atlanta Hawks Digest. We are going to dive into last night's game in just about another minute or so. We're also going to talk about, what the Atlanta Hawks need to do going forward in order to keep themselves, number one, in the winning category, as well as possibly getting themselves into a positive position going into the All-Star break and possibly even the trade deadline, and also going even further into the playoffs next year. We want to make sure that the Atlanta Hawks are doing what they can to do so. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We have the game review from last night. And again, the Atlanta Hawks, they took care of business, beating the Pelicans 124-121. And what's more so impressive about the Atlanta Hawks is that they found a way to win. They didn't just rely on the three-point shot or the ability to shoot the three-pointer. These guys took care of business, and everybody got in on the action. First of all, jumping into it, yes, the Atlanta Hawks have been doing well from the three-point line, but unfortunately, last night's game, they did terribly, shooting 26% from the three-point line, 10 for 38 to be exact, and then also shooting 51% from the field just in general. So we all know that last night was not the shooting spree that we would have liked to have seen, or what we've gotten used to over the last 2 or 3 games. As a matter of fact, looking at the game, it seemed as if they were possibly going to lose this one. As a matter of fact, this one and the Charlotte game a couple nights ago seemed as if the Atlanta Hawks were coming up against, what we saw as a lull, or not even just a lull, but, you go against a really tough team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. They show up and they take care of business. And the last 2 games, of course, versus the Pelicans and against the Charlotte Hornets, it seems as if the Atlanta Hawks started to hit that, not lull, but started to play down to their competition. But instead, they have found a way to win, and that's also due to the fact that we have a lot of bodies. And so I want to get into, last night's game recap, last night as far as what went on and, how the guys went, fared versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Risacher had 24 minutes of production, 15 points, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 1 block. But again, 13 points to be correct. Off of 24 minutes, 5 for 11 from the field, 1 for 3 from three-point land, 2 for 4 from the stripe. And then you also had Jalen Johnson with 19 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. So again, he's affecting the ball in other areas. Clint Capela, 29 minutes, 9 points of production, 17 rebounds. And you know how I say that is very important. You want to get as many rebounds as possible, because you want to point this out, right? You had 12 defensive rebounds for Clint Capela and 5 offensive rebounds. Yes, we want to up the offensive rebounds, of course, but those 12 defensive rebounds, number one, eliminates the opportunity for second chance points. And that's something that I've always pointed out with the Atlanta Hawks. Though we have a smaller team, we have smaller bigs, unlike teams like Cleveland, we don't necessarily have the meat in the muscle. So we want to see how they affect the ball on the defensive end somehow by taking the ball away, getting those defensive rebounds, limiting the other team's opportunity at second chance points. Trae Young, of course, 12 points last night, which was very disappointing to see, unfortunately. But 8 rebounds, 15 assists. We got to give it up to Trae Young because, again, he's still showing himself to be an assist machine this year, leading all point guards in the NBA with assists. I think I want to say he averages about 11. That might have went up to about 12 assists per game. So Trae Young doing his job. Dyson Daniels, 19 points. 4 steals, 2 blocks. So Dyson Daniels doing a really good job as well. 2 assists, 4 steals, 1 block. And again, he's off to a really good start this year defensively. And those were just the starters. Because again, the Hawks, they saw about 7 guys in double figures during this game. So yes, the 3-point shooting was terrible. But obviously, these guys have found ways to score without shooting the 3 or being so much effective from the 3. Because again, Trae Young had 15 assists. You don't get 15 assists if the team's not scoring and other guys aren't making points. But Onyeka Okongwu off the bench, 12 points off the bench, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 assist. Really good job from Onyeka Okongwu. He's showing himself to be consistent as a big. DeAndre Hunter, again, coming off the bench, and we got to give him a major shout-out because this isn't the first game he's had 20-plus points off the bench. So major shout-out to DeAndre Hunter. Again, he was one of those players that was on, what was it, like a 4-week hiatus due to the fact that, he had knee inflammation, coming off of last year's injury. We did not necessarily see DeAndre Hunter in the early part. As a matter of fact, he was one of the players I was talking about in regards to, the injury bug, hitting the team. Bogdan Bogdanović, again, 8 points off the bench, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Kobe Buffkin even got in on the action with about 10 points. What was he? And this was off 12 minutes of production. He was 4 for 4 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3-point. 2 for 3 from the stripe. So major shouts out to Kobe Buffkin. And again, the Atlanta Hawks, they found a way to win because the game was not pretty. Game just was not pretty at all. And that's, that we understand that because the Atlanta Hawks, they showed that as well going up to Charlotte. Wasn't a pretty game. As a matter of fact, they won by like 1 point. But thankfully, we got the W. Never apologize for a win. Even if the win is ugly, you never want to apologize for the win. But we got to talk about my man Trae Young because I've been getting not mixed emotions, but just mixed views from fans. How I felt about Trae Young coming into the season. I felt as though he wanted out. But just to be completely honest, it seems as if Trae he's giving himself up. And not in a sense of just saying, I yield, I don't want to play with the Hawks anymore. But what I'm saying is he's showing himself to be a leader in other ways than just scoring. Okay, Trae Young has, in fact, had some really big troubles as far as shooting. Last night, he finished the night with 12 points, which was like, on 31%. Shooting from the field, 2 for 9 overall from the arc. And this was actually tied for his lowest points in a game so far this season. So it was just not unimpressive, but it was just disappointing to see how that, would go down. But again, Trae could possibly be due for another big game coming up versus the Milwaukee Bucks. We already know the history behind Trae Young and the Milwaukee Bucks dating back to 2021, so we already understand that. But what I also really like with Trae Young is what he said basically here. He said, this is actually at the end of the game. That's what I've always done. I mean, for me, it's nothing new. My shot still not going down. And then trust me, once that starts to fall, it's a different ball game. But we're winning right now, and that's all that matters to me. Like I said, don't apologize for a win, Trae. To be honest with you, I know I can impact the game in multiple ways. I don't have to just score. I can play defense. I can get everybody involved, and I can rebound. I can do a lot of things. Yes, Trae can do a lot of things. I was talking to a fellow fan of the Hawks, and they said how, his defensive production has stepped up. He's done a very good job. Trae Young's defensive production has stepped up. His assists, of course, as you can see, has stepped up. It's just the shooting. And we would love to see Trae improve on the shooting. As a matter of fact, I would almost bank on the fact that it could possibly happen. But for right now, that's not necessarily the case. But Trae is starting to affect the game in other ways. Trae has also averaged about 12.9 assists and 1.3 steals during this last 10-game stretch. So, again, Trae Young has done his job in a sense. Yes, we want him to score more. We love to see him score more, especially shooting those shots from the logo. But if he can't, it would be awesome for him to affect the game in other ways, getting assists, getting steals, getting in there and, affecting the ball some other way. So that was, of course, the game review for last night. But what we definitely got to talk about is how the Atlanta Hawks can keep winning. How are the Atlanta Hawks going to stay on the winning track and can, just continue to win? No, I don't expect for them to win every game, but I want them to be in every game that they play, meaning don't play down to your competition. Let's not go to Washington and just just crap an egg. We want them to at least show up, give a solid performance. And if you get beat by a better team, that's nothing that we can ask for because you played the hardest that you can play. But we do not want to see the Atlanta Hawks playing down to their competition. Honestly, over the next 10 games, and I want to say I have the graphic here, but what was it? Over the next, 10 games? The Atlanta Hawks right now, I will say, they just beat the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, I'm not Milwaukee. Hopefully they'll be Milwaukee, but they just beat the New Orleans Pelicans at home. They traveled to Milwaukee before coming back home on the 6th and taking on the LA Lakers. Then you're going to go on Denver comes down to Atlanta, and then you go to San Antonio. And then for a while, we're going to be at home versus Memphis, Minnesota, Chicago again, Miami, and then on the road to Toronto, which starts a West Coast trip for the Atlanta Hawks. So over the next 10 games, I want to say that it's going to be better than the last 10 games. I want it to be better than the last 10 games, but we now know that the Atlanta Hawks are getting better. They're getting stronger. My keys to the Atlanta Hawks possibly winning, for one, is to not accentuate, but let's get these two X factors involved more and more and more. I like I like Zaccharie Risacher starting. I like him in the starting lineup. I also like Dyson Daniels in the starting lineup. I feel as though they get the game started. They can keep the Atlanta Hawks from getting these slow starts. These two players really, in my mind, exceeded my expectations going into this season. So I'm really excited to see where we go past the All-Star break and possibly even into the playoffs, because it's only been 21 games. The Atlanta Hawks, 22 games. The Atlanta Hawks are 11-11 on the season right now. They stand at the 6th position in the Eastern Conference. So again, it's early in the season, and with the production out of these two guys is awesome. Zaccharie Risacher, he's finding a way to get open. Either it be in the corner for the corner three, if he's cutting to the basket, if Trae Young even shoots he drives to the hole and he's able to kick it out to Zaccharie Risacher. He's finding he's finding himself to be open. He's finding his way to be open and getting into those open spots. So I definitely love to see that. Dyson Daniels, again, he's the best two-way player in the league, in my opinion. If he continues to go on the route that he's going, I definitely see a Defensive Player of the Year award. And I also want to say that I can see him going a lot further than that. Jalen Johnson, in my opinion, again, he's doing a really good job versus the Hornets. Jalen Johnson was the leader of the team, basically that struggled to shoot, especially shoot. They were struggling offensively, but Jalen Johnson was able to come in, affect the game, not only just on the offensive end, but also get his teammates involved with 9 assists during that game as well. And then coming into this game and affecting the ball like he did, scoring, 19 points, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, affecting the game in other ways. I think he is definitely starting to be the Batman to Trae Young's Robin. And I mean that with all due respect. With Jalen Johnson, I do feel as though he is starting to show up as the second best player for the Atlanta Hawks and possibly getting us to the best possible outcome that we can get. And then on top of that, we definitely got to talk about DeAndre Hunter. He is definitely coming into his role this season. I think if he continues to do what he's doing, I think he could possibly be in the running for 6th man of the year. And that's speaking very highly of him, given the fact that the Atlanta Hawks have the trade buzzers running around right now, and possibly there being a trade, and we don't know who could be on the road or moving from the Atlanta Hawks. And we've definitely heard DeAndre Hunter's name circulating a lot. So to see him coming off the bench, making a lot of points, affecting the game in other ways, and then helping his team get to a win, I could definitely see him staying if we can consistently get this type of production from these players. So again, the Atlanta Hawks are in a really, really good position right about now. And you can tell I'm speaking I'm really excited, and I sound a lot better given the fact that they are on the winning side of things. And if you continue to win, everybody's happy. You know, when you start to lose, that's when the questions start to come in, and we're trying to figure out what we can do to get back into the winning side of things. But again, the Atlanta Hawks did a great job. Dyson Daniels getting a win versus his former team. And then, of course, seeing DeJounte Murray lose. It's tough for him to lose here back in Atlanta where he once was, but hey, we got the dub. They didn't. Of course, tomorrow night they're going to be traveling to Milwaukee, taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll definitely keep a close eye on that, and hopefully the Atlanta Hawks can keep this streak going because I'm excited, and we would love to see where these guys can be going down the road. But with all that being said, my name is Walter Pollard. This is Atlanta Hawks Digest. Stick with me to get all your info and updates as the season continues to go along, man. I'm super excited, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.